Disco Elysium is a game for writers. It's also a game for philosophers, psychologists, sociologists. You get the idea. This game is for thinkers. It is narrative driven, with about 90% of your time spent reading monologue and dialogue, has a limited set of game mechanics, helping to minimize interruption of immersion. So if you don't like reading, this game is not for you. Go ahead and click out of the video. I'm going to show you some quick snippets of mechanics for the sake of covering them, but if you are a casual gamer or new to gaming, don't let any of these get in the way of this absolute treasure trove of an experience. Part of your interface will be a list of tasks or quests and the map, once you buy the map. The task list will update as you make progress, and the map will update with skill checks as you encounter them. The skill checks are handled similarly to tabletop RPGs, for your base stat and bonuses playing into your chances, and a dice roll. You get to distribute skill points when you start the game, and you will earn more points to distribute as you gain experience from completing the tasks. There are two types of skill checks, red and white. The red ones can only be tried once, whereas the white ones can be retried. That is a very simple explanation of all that, but I'm going to keep it simple. You also have a simple inventory for clothing, tools, items, and interactable items. From your inventory, you can see your base stats, your bonuses, your health, and your morale. Health and morale can be damaged and healed, and although the clothing and tools are important for getting past skill checks, they are easy to interact with, and the bonuses are prominently displayed, so no issues there. Navigating the game world is kept simple, although you can get a little turned about when you unlock the new areas, and the map won't really help you, or at least it didn't help me anyway. I got turned about pretty easily, and I have no sense of direction either in the real world or game worlds. I consider the map really more decoration than function. But let's not dwell on the mechanics, because the bulk of Disco Elysium is, of course, the narrative. The conversations you have with others and yourself. And in the words of a much better game reviewer than myself, everything is put under a microscope, and I will put a link to Jim Sterling's review of this game in the description field. It takes no time at all to realize that this game was written by those who know the craft for those who know the craft. This is a writer's buried treasure. Disco Elysium is an indie gem, and it came out with little fanfare, and to this day, it's still an underrated darling. The main story is that you are an alcoholic detective who needs to solve a murder mystery. And on the surface, it sounds not all that original, right? Maybe even a bit cliché. The game will quickly shatter your expectations though, so buckle up. Every character you interact with has a story, a personality, a motive. Every conversation has significance, even if small, and even if it seems unimportant at the time. Every time you speak to someone, you learn more about yourself. This game is an intricately woven tapestry of depression, anxiety, addiction, recovery, hope, philosophy, psychology, and social commentary. Every sentence is crafted with care. Every monologue reveals a piece of a torn and weathered anti-hero. And perhaps best of all, you get to help shape this character and how his story progresses. There's a plethora of dialogue options ranging from professional to angry to confused to weird to sincere, and these will help shape the main character and the story. The skills that your character has plays a big part in what monologues come up based on roles happening in the background for successes and failures. The skills are representative of the character's physical and mental acuity. For example, one of the skills is empathy. A higher score in this skill will make you more likely to succeed in dialogues where that emotional intelligence is helpful, for example, for persuading someone to talk to you. And on the physical end of the scale, an example would be physical instrument. This skill helps you succeed in interaction where strength is needed, such as prying something open or winning a fight. Because these skills play a big part, and there is a lot of player choice involved, it means that two people can have very different experiences playing this game. For my own playthrough, I decided to not let the character drink any alcohol or take any drugs. But I'm interested to see how the playthrough would deviate if I was to allow that to happen. There are pros and cons to the decisions you make and the chances you take. With situations like trying to push someone to answer a question or trying a red challenge with only a 42% chance of success. This game's world isn't that big in terms of where you can go and explore, but the lore behind it is. Someone put a lot of time and effort into naming the different cities and regions and provinces and islands, as well as the creation of ethnicities and cultural differences. There's also a large amount of history of this world that you can learn from other characters, and an explanation of various philosophies, including moralism and communism. Honestly, the lore was so detailed that I sometimes had to question, was any of it actually real? The writers really did their homework here, and it's clear that they took a lot of inspiration from things that do exist in our world. I haven't seen this detailed or skilled of writing in any other game I've played, and I have played a lot of games. Even games that I absolutely adore for their stories, such as the Life is Strange series, The Last of Us, and Red Dead Redemption, which are all wonderful games, but they just don't even come close. Now, it should be acknowledged that these are different types of games, so it is a little bit of apples to oranges, but if you're just looking at the stories themselves, yeah, it just doesn't really compare. I honestly can't do this game enough justice, so I enthusiastically encourage you to just play it yourself. It's not a full-priced game, and it's not a very long experience either. For any writer that has a Steam account, and making a Steam account is free, this is a must-play. There just isn't another one out there quite like this, and maybe there won't ever be.